Namaskar everyone. I hope you all are doing well. And today we will explore how Dharma weaved ecology, culture, and power. So let's explore together. Now, the objectives of this lecture will be to understand the role of Dharma in ecological and societal relationships. You can explore traditional Indian views on land, soil, and sustenance. You can examine how culture, power, and nature were interlinked. You can reflect on contemporary relevance of these ideas by the end of this lecture. So, first understand what is dharma. This is the question often arise in our minds. So, dharma is often viewed as the foundation of Indian thought and culture. It is more than just a set of religious practices. It is the cosmic law that governs the universe, a moral compass guiding human actions, and a force that upholds societal harmony. At its core, Dharma is about living in alignment with natural and cosmic rhythms. It embodies not just the responsibility of individuals to uphold moral order, but the interconnectedness of all living beings, humans, plants, animals, and even the earth. In Indian philosophy, everything in existence is interwoven, and this interconnectedness reflects the belief that every action impacts the larger whole. So, when we live in harmony with the environment and respect the natural world, we uphold dharma, contributing to the balance and sustainability of both the physical and metaphysical worlds. So, it is not merely a duty prescribed by external authorities, but an internal moral framework that guides individuals and communities to act in ways that promote mutual respect, ecological balance, and even spiritual growth. So, the concept of dharma challenges the duality between human and nature, urging a worldview where humans are not separate from the earth but are integral parts of a grander, interconnected cosmic system. And this concept of dharma as both cosmic law and moral duty emphasizes the importance of living a life that is not only good for the self but also for the larger community and the world at large. It brings forward a sense of responsibility towards nature and reminds us that societal harmony can only be achieved when human lives in consonance with the environment. Whether it's the care we take to preserve sacred rivers, forests, or in the design of our cities and temples, Dharma calls for a life that acknowledges the sacredness in every element of the universe. The idea of interconnectedness also stresses that all beings, whether animate or inanimate, have their own inherent purpose and deserve respect. So, in the modern context, understanding Dharma in this way can provide valuable insights for bring forward environmental sustainability as it aligns with the growing realization that our actions towards nature must be guided by moral and ethical consideration. Now we will see the concept of soil in ancient texts. In the ancient Indian texts, The soil is often referred to with deep reverence, underscoring its role as a life giving and sacred entity. One of the most profound expressions of this is found in the Bhumi Sukta of the Atharva Veda, where the earth is personified as a mother and nourisher. The verse speaks of the earth's generosity, providing sustenance to all beings and call for respect and gratitude towards it. So, in this worldview, the soil is not seen as a mere physical substance, but as a living, sentient being embodying both spiritual significance and ecological importance. And here, ancient text presents the earth as a mother figure who, like a compassionate caregiver, nurtures all forms of life. And this deep connection to the earth calls for a reverence that transcends physical needs, recognizing the soil's role in sustaining not just human life but the entire ecosystem. And agriculture in this context is not viewed as a mere act of cultivation for sustenance. It is an act of reciprocity and ritual. Farmers, as stewards of the land, are expected to approach agriculture with a sense of gratitude and respect, recognizing that their work is not just an economic endeavor, but a spiritual duty to the earth. And what about Bhumi Sukta? Bhumi Sukta emphasizes that the soil's role in the cycle of life is sacred, and the act of tilling the land and harvesting crops is not merely for personal gain but a ritual that connects human beings to the divine forces of nature. And this idea is deeply embedded in the practices of traditional agriculture, where rituals and offerings to the land are conducted before sowing seeds, and gratitude is expressed during harvest. The concept of the soil as sentient and sacred also reflects a broader worldview where nature is not separate from humanity but an integral part of the moral and spiritual fabric of life. And the philosophy rooted in the Atharva Veda and other ancient texts serves as a reminder of the profound responsibilities humans have in maintaining the health of this soil. And in modern times, this ancient understanding offers crucial insights into sustainable agricultural practices, urging us to approach soil conservation not just as a scientific concern but as a moral and spiritual one. Now we will see the concept of ecological balance through Dharma. When we say soil to society, we are talking about a culture where caring for a stream or forest was a dharmic act, not an optional one. In Indian philosophy, the concept of ecological balance is intricately tied to dharma, which extends beyond personal morality to encompass the very functioning of nature itself. And the idea of maintaining ecological harmony is grounded in the Panch Mahabhutas, that is, the five elements: Prithvi, Apas, Agni, Vayu, and Akash. These elements are seen as the fundamental building blocks of the universe. and their harmonious balance is essential not only for the well being of humans but also for all living beings. So, Dharma as a cosmic law governs the relationship between these elements by ensuring that they remain in a state of equilibrium. And this connection is deeply woven into the fabric of society where the rulers and communities alike had a duty to maintain this ecological balance. The kings, often regarded as the stewards of the land, were tasked with protecting natural resources, ensuring that forests, rivers, and wildlife were conserved for future generations. And this responsibility was not seen merely as a legal or political duty, but as a sacred obligation to preserve the balance between humans and the earth. Sacred groups, water bodies, and crop cycles were integral components of this system of ecological balance, governed by ethical rules rooted in Dharma. For example, sacred groups, often protected by local communities, were considered vital to the preservation of biodiversity and were respected as spaces where the gods dwelt. These natural spaces were not just seen as ecological reserves, but as places of spiritual significance where the physical and metaphysical worlds intersected. Similarly, the management of water bodies such as temple tanks and the careful observation of crop cycles reflected a deep understanding of nature's rhythms and cycles. Ethical rules informed by Dharma ensured that resources were used wisely and that any exploitation of nature was done with respect, care, and an awareness of the long term impact of its ecological system. This wisdom embedded in these practices highlights an ancient model of sustainability that was deeply rooted in both spiritual and ecological ethics. So, this holistic approach, where the protection of the environment was seen as part of the one's moral duty, offers valuable lessons for contemporary society also. As now we are facing the pressing environmental challenges, revisiting the principles of Dharma and the Panch Mahabhutas can inspire us to cultivate a deeper sense of responsibility towards nature. Recognizing that human flourishing is intrinsically linked to the well being of the planet can help us adopt more sustainable practices grounded in ethical principles that honor the earth as both a resource and a sacred entity. Now we will see the concept of sacred geography and its relation with the soil. So, in the context of Indian traditions, pilgrimage is often seen as a deeply spiritual journey, but its significance extends beyond the purely religious realm. Pilgrimages in India are not just about reaching a sacred site, they are immersive experiences that involve a profound engagement with the terrain, weather, and seasons. So, these journeys are a lived ecological education where every step taken along the path contributes to a deeper understanding of the natural world and its cyclic patterns. The landscapes traversed during pilgrimages, whether mountains, rivers, forests, or deserts serves as teachers, offering lessons on the interconnectedness of the nature, the elements, and human existence. As pilgrims journey through these varied terrains, they are not only walking through physical space but are also engaging with the environment in a way that promotes respect, reverence, and sustainability. The challenges posed by different geographical setting, such as the harness of the mountain climb or the unpredictability of seasonal weather, offer insights into the resilience of both nature and the human spirit. The pilgrimage journey itself is a microcosm of the larger ecological processes where the pilgrim learns to live in harmony with the natural rhythms of the earth. The changing weather patterns, the shift in seasons, and the interaction with different ecosystems provide a unique form of ecological education. Pilgrims would often learn to adapt to these changes, understanding the importance of sustainable practices such as respecting sacred groves, conserving water, and acknowledging the sacredness of natural spaces. In this way, the pilgrimage was not just a religious practice but a deeply environmental one, where one's spiritual growth was intertwined with an awareness and responsibility towards the earth. The ancient Indian worldview saw the journey to a sacred site as part of a larger cosmic process where both the external and internal landscapes were equally significant. In the modern world, where environmental concerns are increasingly pressing, this concept of pilgrimage as a form of ecological education can offer valuable insights. It reminds us that our spiritual and ecological responsibilities are interconnected and that our journey through life should be one of mindful engagement with the environment around us. So, by embracing this holistic understanding, we can cultivate a deeper respect for the natural world and recognize our role as stewards of the earth. Now, we will try to understand the concept of agriculture and its interlinkages with Varna Dharma. In the traditional Indian social structure known as Varna Dharma, each individual duties and responsibilities were tied to their profession. And these duties were not solely focused on personal or social goals, but were deeply embedded in ecological stewardship. The connection between professions and the land was fundamental to the functioning of society, especially in the context of agriculture. Farmers, as caretakers of the land, were entrusted with the sacred responsibility of cultivating the earth. Their role was not just about producing food, but was intricately linked to maintaining the ecological balance and ensuring the long term health of the soil. The Varna Dharma system recognized that agriculture was a deeply moral task where the act of plowing, sowing, and harvesting was connected to larger cosmic and ecological forces. For the farmers, their relationship to the land was seen as both a duty and a privilege. And these duties were governed by ethical principles that ensured both social and environmental harmony. Similarly, other professions such as traders and rulers also had their ecological obligations. Traders, for examples, were responsible for the distribution of goods, including agricultural produce, ensuring fair exchange and avoiding over exploitation. Rulers, as stewards of the land, were responsible for the protection of natural resources and the well being of the environment. And their governance was expected to promote sustainable agricultural practices, protect forests, water bodies, and ensure that land's resources were wisely used. Plowing rituals performed before the sowing of seeds were integral to this duty as they were seen as an offering to the earth, symbolizing respect for the soil and the spiritual connection between humans and nature. So these rituals were not just symbolic acts, but were embedded in the agricultural process to ensure that the earth resource was treated with reverence and the cycle of planting, growth, and harvesting was in tune with the larger rhythms of nature. So the social and environmental harmony ensured through Varna Dharma was a reflection of an ancient understanding of interdependence where the well-being of the land, the people and the society were inextricably linked. The duties tied to each profession, especially in agriculture, was not just about fulfilling societal roles, but about ensuring that human activities was aligned with natural cycles, thereby promoting a sustainable and harmonious coexistence with the earth. So, this deep rooted understanding can provide valuable insights for contemporary agriculture and environmental practices, urging us to recognize that our actions should be in harmony with the environment and that our relationship to the land is one of the mutual respect and responsibility. Now, we will try to understand the concept of power and land. In ancient India, the concept of power and land were intricately intertwined, especially in the context of kingship and governance. Land grants, such as agraharas, were not merely transfers of land for cultivation or settlement, but they came with a profound responsibility, the duty to protect and nurture the land and its resources. These grants were typically given to Brahmins, religious institutions, or deserving individuals, but with the understanding that they would uphold the ecological and social well being of the land. The protection of land, forests, water sources, and overall environment was seen as a direct responsibility of the landholder, with the idea that power and stewardship were not separate but inherently linked. The land was seen as a sacred gift, and its well being was connected to the moral order of the universe embodied in Dharma. For kings and rulers, the fertility of land was not just an economic concern but a divine mandate. The prosperity of the people and the kingdom was believed to be directly tied to the king's ability to maintain harmony with the land and nature. Kingship, therefore, was seen as a stewardship role where the king's duty was to ensure that the land remained fertile, productive, and free from exploitation. And if the land failed, whether through droughts, floods, and famine, it was interpreted as a sign of adharma or the violation of moral order. These natural calamities were not merely understood as random acts of nature, but were often seen as divine retribution for the failure of the ruler to uphold their sacred responsibility. So, in this context, the king's duty was to maintain balance, ensuring that the ecological cycles were respected and that the people and the land were cared for in ways that promoted prosperity for all. So, the connection between power, land, and dharma underscores an ancient understanding of governance that went beyond the material aspect of rule. It was a recognition that the health of the land and the prosperity of the people were intrinsically linked, and that the ruler's duty was to maintain this balance. And this ancient model offers a profound lesson for modern governance, highlighting the importance of sustainable land management, ecological responsibility, and the recognition that political power carries the duty to protect the environment and ensure the well being of all the inhabitants of the land. Festivals like Pongal, Bihu, and Makar Sankranti are not merely cultural celebration but deep expressions of the relationship between soil, seasons, and the cycles of nature. These festivals, rooted in the agrarian tradition of India, serve as a reminder of the interconnectedness between human life and the environment. And each of these festivals marks the changing of seasons, often linked to the harvest cycle, and celebrates the vital role that soil plays in sustaining life. For example, Pongal in Tamil Nadu is a thanksgiving festival for the earth, marking the end of the harvest season, where people honor the soil for its fertility and the crops it has yielded. Similarly, Bihu in Assam celebrates the agricultural prosperity brought by the season's harvest, paying homage to the earth and the labor that has gone into cultivating it. Makar Sankranti, observed across India, signifies the end of winter and the arrival of the harvest season, symbolizing the importance of the sun's warmth in ripening crops and sustaining lives. So these festivals are not just about cultural rituals, they are an expression of seasonal agricultural wisdom encoded through generations. The timing of this celebration are also important because it aligns closely with the natural rhythms of the earth, reflecting an understanding of the changing season, soil's fertility, and the agricultural calendar. And the concept of sacred economy in ancient India seamlessly integrated religious practices with ecological sustainability. For example, temple economies plays a pivotal role in supporting the environment through the establishment of sacred spaces like temple tanks, groves, and granaries. So temples were not just places of worship, but also centers of social and ecological life where the welfare of both people and the land was prioritized. Temple tanks, for instance, served as crucial water reservoirs, replenishing local water supplies, supporting agriculture, and providing a sanctuary for local wildlife. Sacred groups, often protected by temple authorities, acted as biodiversity hotspots, maintaining ecosystems that were integral to local communities. These religious spaces were seen as embodiments of Dharma, where moral and ecological duties converged to ensure a sustainable relationship with the land. At the heart of the sacred economy was the principles of redistribution. Donations made to temples, whether in form of food, grain, or money, were not meant to accumulate wealth for the temple or its administrators, but rather to be redistributed for the benefits of the community. So, this non accumulative redistributive model was in direct alignment with the ethical principles of Dharma, where surplus wealth was seen as a responsibility to be shared for the welfare of all. Now, we must shift from a profit centric to a Dharma centric model of development where the well being of the land, people, and future generations takes precedence. This requires revaluing soil, water, and local knowledge, recognizing their vital role in sustaining life and ecosystems. As we draw this session to a close, let us pause and reflect on a profound truth. In ancient India, dharma was not just a personal or moral code, it was a binding thread between soil, society, and self. The land was not a commodity but a living presence deserving of care and reverence. Communities did not live on the land, they lived with it through rituals, designs, and daily practices aligned with elemental harmony. So, this is not just a nostalgic glance at the past. Ancient wisdom offers a blueprint for our sustainable futures. So, how can we reclaim dharmic geographies today?